Hello guys, so today I'll be teaching you how to make a buttonhole and how to use the buttonhole foot. This is the buttonhole foot. This usually comes with the machine, and if this did not come with your machine, you can always buy. I don't know how much it is anyway, but you can always buy. And then you will also be needing this foot to fix the button itself. So this is the button I'll be using. There are different kinds of buttons. There are some with 4 holes, some with 2 holes. Yeah, I think that's about that. So the first thing we are going to do is to fix the buttonhole foot to the machine. I'm sure you know how to fix the buttonhole foot. You see this, we'll snap this under here. You pull up this lever at the back. There is a small lever here. You pull it up to hold the, you see, to hold the buttonhole foot. So the next thing we are going to do now is to measure our button, because we need to know the size that we're going to use to make the buttonhole itself on the fabric that we're going to use. So what I like to do is, usually I like to use my ruler for something like this, or you can as well use your tape rule. But here now I'm going to use my ruler. I want to measure the height of the button, and this is about 1.5 centimeters. I hope you can see this. This is about 1.5 centimeters. So now we're going to draw a line that is at least 1.5 centimeters high, long on the fabric. Okay, first of all, I'll draw a straight line, and then you measure 1.5 centimeters on at the least, so that your button will be able to pass through, you know, after making the hole at the least. So what I would like to do is to make about, let me do like 2 centimeters actually. 2 centimeters. You ensure that the line is straight, 2 centimeters, and then just draw a straight line. When you're doing yours, please use a sharp chalk. This is a tailor's chalk actually. You can use a very sharp one so that you'll get very straight lines. So now what we're going to do, let me tell you something about this foot as well. The maximum hole that it can make is for a button of about 3.5 centimeters. If you see from here, hold on here, from here to here is about this space is about 3.5 centimeters. Yes, about 3.5 centimeters. So that's the maximum that it can, the maximum hole that it can make. So now what we have is 2 centimeters here. So I would ensure that the space that I have, I would actually move this slider. There's a slider here. Let me show you, sorry. This is a slider, it moves up and down. So I would ensure that, let me fix it back. So I would ensure that this slider gives me a hole of a space of about 2 centimeters. So the top, so it will start from the top here, the top of the slider. You see, that's the whole point of making a reference line, which is the line I drew already. So from here to here now, which is the end of the foot, is 2 centimeters. So now that we've gotten this space accurately, okay, so we'll be using a buttonhole stitch. Usually on the machine, on this kind of machine, it comes with the buttonhole stitch. So we'll be changing the knob for the stitch to wherever. Okay, now I'm starting from the top. So this is the top. 4 is top, 2 is down, 1 is 4, from 4 to down, like it's coming down. This is the arrow, like it's coming down, and 3 is going up, you see. So what I'll do now is I'll start from 4, since I'm starting from the top of my line. But if you were starting from the bottom of your line, you actually use 2. So now I'm moving this knob, I'm changing this knob to 4, the middle one, 4, 2. You always have to ensure that anytime you're changing this display, anytime you're moving the knob, your needle has to be up, because if it's inside, you might just break your needle. So what we're going to do now is, in order to get a very tight tight line, yeah, a very tight stitch, tight woven stitch, you need to change this as well. You change it to, I like to use this, is like 0.5, because if you put it in 1, you'll get a very long stitch. I'll show you the difference later. Let's just do this. You can leave this in 4. This doesn't really make a difference, is the length. So now what we're going to do is we're going to stitch. You see we're in 4, we are in here on the display. This is 4 and 2. So we're going to stitch the top first. You just make a few stitches at the top. Okay, which is fine. That was about, I think, 10 stitches. Then you move your knob, you turn it, ensure that your needle is up, and then you move the knob. We now want to go from up to down. Yeah, so you're going to change your stitch type to this, which is this. I hope you can see it. So we'll be stitching from up to down now. So when it gets down, it stops by itself because the slider has actually eat. You know, I showed you the slider earlier, right? The slider has actually eat the edge of the foot. So it stops by. So it stops by itself. So the next thing we're going to do now is ensure that the needle is up. And then you move to, now we want to stitch horizontally. Now I want to stitch horizontally this bottom line, yeah? Just like we did at the top. So I'm moving my display back, I'm moving my stitch type back to 2, yeah, so to stitch horizontally. So you just do a few stitches, yeah. So again, ensure that your needle is up, then you move to 3. So that means, you know, the arrow is up, so the stitch is gonna be from down to up. Okay, so now let's do this. You see, when it gets to the first stitch we did, just stop. You see, this is fine now. Now, this is the perfect buttonhole. So the wrong side, and this is the right side. Okay. So this is this. So to open up the hole, you take your, some people use blades, some people use scissors, maybe the very sharp one, some people use something like this, but I prefer to use this. So you just pierce through, you pierce through into the middle. And just use it to open up the space. You see? So let's try the button first. So you see? So we got the perfect stitch for the buttonhole. So now the next thing is to fix the buttonhole on the fabric. So now what we're going to do is, on your fabric, if you're making a shirt or a dress, anywhere you want the button to be, just ensure that you mark a point. So for example, now what I'll do is just to draw a straight line, an horizontal, and then a vertical, and I want to get a point. That's what I want. So I want the button to be here in this middle, yeah. So what I'll do now, first we'll remove the foot, sorry, we'll remove this. We're going to use the button foot itself. But before that, some machines also come with the darning plate. This is just to serve as a guide, yeah. So we're going to, you see these things here, we're going to snap them into the holes, these 2 holes that are here. So for you to know that you've done it correctly, if you look through, okay, this space actually has to align with this space here, yeah. So when I did it the first time, I realized that the space did not align. I don't know if you can see it well, the space actually did not align, so I'll turn it the other way around so that my needle can be able to go through. Because if I did it that way, that means I'll be sewing just on the darning plate itself. So if you see this now, you see that the space, I don't know if you can see it, the space actually aligns with this space here, aligns with the space that the needle is going to go through. So now I know that I've done it correctly. Okay, so like I said, this is the button foot. So I'll be fixing it this way. This curve will be behind, while this one, I think it's like a rubber kind of, it will be at the front. So this is what will hold the button down. So let me fix this. Okay, now I've done it. So this is the button that we'll be using. So first of all, okay, I think this didn't go in correctly. Okay, yeah. So first of all, you have to ensure that you fix your darning plate correctly. I've also tried it without the darning plate too, and it was actually fine. So if you don't have a darning plate, don't get scared or something. You can actually do it that way. Without the darning plate as well. So what I'm going to do, I said I want the button to be air. So you also have to mark that point where you want your button to be on the fabric that you're using, on whatever fabric that it is. So now I'm going to push this under. So this is a 4/0 button. So first of all, I want to sew the first two. Yeah, I want to sew the first 2 O's. So let me ensure that it is straight. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do now is to ensure your needle is up, like I always say, is to change to the zigzag foot. So it's a zigzag foot that we're going to be using. So I'll be using this foot, this zigzag stitch, sorry. So I'll be using this stitch, which is C. I'll be using C. So now we have to be careful at this point, because okay, let me just say we're going to test. It's like let's test run it first, because your zigzag stitch has to be able to go in between from one O to the other. Yeah, so you should just test it first. Don't use the pedal first. Just use your hand to turn the knob. Use your hand to, okay, this is, okay. Just use your hand to turn the knob to see if it goes through the holes. So you see, if you can see this, you see it's actually on the button, not in the hole. So I'm going to move it backwards a little, just to ensure that it enters the O. Okay, so now I've gotten the first O. But now let me see if it's going to enter, if the needle is going to enter the second hole before I continue to stitch. Okay, so good for me. Do you see? It has entered the first and the second, which is good. That is what we want to achieve. Right now, the width of my machine, the stitch is on 0.5. So that is what I'm using. This actually is on 0.5. So that's what I'm using. So it depends on your button. If the space is more, you can turn it to 1 or something wider. And then you have to try to test run it first before you press on the pedal. So now that I have secured that, I'll just press a few stitches. Okay, which is fine. So now I'm going to move the button. I'm going to move this fabric forward so that I can sew the second on the second O. I apologize. Actually, I'm not supposed to remove it, but I think the fabric is too hard, kind of. Okay, so I'm trying to push this under. So now let's try and test it first. Okay, 1, 2. You see, it didn't enter the hole, so I have to reposition the fabric. I have to reposition the fabric. Okay, yeah. So let's run a few stitches. So you see the purpose of the darning plate and this foot. Ordinarily, like on a normal day when we are sewing, you know, when you press on the pedal, it actually, the fabric moves. Yeah, do you understand what I'm saying? The fabric moves, but because of the darning plate and because of this that is holding the button down, it's not moving. Do you realize it? So it's actually sewing on the spot. Do you get me? So instead of the fabric moving forward, it's not moving. It's actually sewing on the spot, which is what we want to achieve. Yeah. So that is that. This was an error from the beginning. I wasn't supposed to remove the fabric, but because the fabric was actually hard. Okay, so now we have achieved. So if you see, this is the back. This is actually from what, okay. So now this is the button and this is the, okay, this is the button and this is the O. So if we had done it on different fabrics, it would have been easy for us to try. But you know, I tried it earlier. I tried to use this button earlier and it entered through. So now this is it. It's not hard. So you can just try a few times. Maybe luckily you might just be able to get it the first time, or you can try a few times, and then if you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you very much for watching the video, and please subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much and have a good day. Bye.